Can I ask, what is it that drives you? Because everything you've just said, it's almost where I'm guessing there's a desire to problem solve and almost have an impact. Or are you one of these people where you seek out, you know, do you, I was going to say, do you lose interest in things quickly, but do you see a problem and think, I could solve that?
I think there are two interesting parts to the question. Number one is, of course, what's in common with, music, video, legal, electronics, and so on. And I think what's in common is what I love to do is build cool stuff.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like to start with a problem and not know at all how to get there. It's a little bit like being dropped on the desert island, and you know that you have to build a hut or the tigers will eat you and you will die without water. And you kind of that problem to solve, and you have no idea how to get to the solution. But I actually really like that. And everything else in a startup is like stuff you have to do that lets you do that. And to some extent, it doesn't matter what the problem space is, whether it's illegal or video or audio, you're still starting with an idea, and then you
Mhm.
need to build it, build the team, get investment and all the things around it. And that's really the piece that I really enjoy.
Because I think with one of the things that you seem to have done incredibly well is you've managed to catch the wave on lots of technology rises. So I remember so I started university in 2002, and at the time I was still buying CDs. I go to HMV, buy the disc, and then I remember there was various different options, but there was LimeWire was one, and there was lots of, and then there was a big thing about when you'd search for Madonna or whatever music taste that you look for, but then half of them would be viruses, and then you'd be worried about is this illegal? Is it? And it was just, but there was this big sea change of just change going on, and then almost again with iPlayer. It sounds silly, but I grew up in the generation of Friends, the TV show, and it absolutely blew my mind that at some point you could go on and choose which episode and series. I was like, that's impossible. How? But and then again, the growth in the startup legal world that in the past 5 to 10 years, we've seen the challenger banks come in that have really disrupted that space. And again, what you guys do with legal, it's almost where I think the world goes through reinvention every so often anyway, but you seem to have caught the wave perfectly on quite a few, if that makes sense.
I'd like to think that. I mean, I skipped the sorry
That's okay.
the
Bless you.
Bitcoin blockchain wave, and I don't know if I was
Mm.
late to the party or I just didn't understand it. But I think one of the key things is you like to think that all the things you do are scientifically planned. I'm going to do X and Y. Actually, it turns out a lot of it is fortune, opportunism, and luck. And so, why am I in legal tech? Well, it's because I met my co-founder, Laurent, at a party where he's an ex-VC and he was saying this problem space, and I was looking for the next thing to do. And you don't, sometimes you read all this VC
Hmm.
advice and
Hmm.
funding advice on Twitter, and it's like, find something you love and do it. Well, it's very rare that you start off loving,
Yeah.
insurance technology or legal technology or manufacturing technology. You don't. You start by finding an interesting problem that you're potentially good at, and then you learn, and not learn as in forced to learn, but you
Hmm.
begin to love it. So on C Legals, contract automation is not something you kind of fall in love with. What you do fall in love with are thousands, tens of thousands of founders using what you've built
Yep.
to change the way that they can run their business, and just see how they, are accelerated as a result and could never do the things without platforms like that. And that's the inspiring bit. The fact that there's a tech platform
Hmm.
is great. That's the necessary piece, but it's the outcome from that's the exciting piece.